All right, we are live. So we just got in the new inflation report for June of 2022, and the numbers are worse than people were expecting. And this does not look good for crypto. It does not look good for the stock market. We're going to talk about that in this video, what you need to understand. We're going to look at a lot of other news updates that have happened in this space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You're going to find out about this if we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain from step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. And of course, if you've been following along, in case you haven't heard, we are launching the Blockchain Bootcamp 2.0 tomorrow. All right, that's tomorrow. We've been talking about this for weeks now. Been planning this for a long time. Super excited. You can hold your spot over the link down below. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got David Stone, Codia, Dale, Andrew, Brent, Tebo, Hexwood, let's see here, Jay, Future Crypto Whale, Satirienda, I hope I'm saying that right. All right, so let's jump into this. So the inflation report has just come out. Well, actually, really quickly, before I get talking to this, one more quick announcement, personal update. I have a family emergency, and so I cannot live stream tomorrow. Okay, I have to accommodate this. This is an unfortunate turn of events that I have to deal with, which is going to take me completely offline tomorrow. Also kind of sucks because we are opening the boot camp tomorrow. Don't worry, everything's going to go as planned. I wanted to get on stream and do a demo for everybody. Maybe we'll do that, hopefully pick back up on Friday, but I've got some personal affairs I need to attend toward. So, you know, yeah, appreciate your all's patience. Anyways, no lesson tomorrow. But anyways, let's jump into this. All right. So, inflation numbers have come out for June of 2022, and they are higher than people were expecting. Okay, so inflation rose to 9.1%. 9.1% inflation year-over-year change. Even more expected as consumer pressures intensify. So shoppers paid sharply higher prices for a variety of goods in June as inflation kept its hold on a slowing U.S. economy from the Bureau of Labor Statistics report on Wednesday. Okay, so we made a video about this on Monday saying like, hey, watch out in crypto this week because we've got the inflation report coming out. Expect some volatility, and it does look like some volatility is here. All right, we've got Bitcoin already starting to react to the new numbers coming out. Of course, we'll have to see what happens throughout the rest of the day and this week. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But the Consumer Price Index, you know, a broad measure of everyday goods and services related to the cost of living, soared 9.1% from a year ago, above 8.8%, the Dow Jones estimate. So let's talk about that. You know, we've been setting the stage for this all week, basically, you know, saying to expect this. Since the beginning of the year, of course, crypto's been down only. You know, it's not just a crypto-specific problem. It's definitely, you can see the stock market. You can see with so many other assets. You know, housing seems to be like one of the only things that's not followed that pattern just yet, or maybe we'll see. So anyways, you know, it's not a crypto-specific problem. So what's the deal, right? So, you know, inflation it doesn't take a genius to see that inflation's out of control. You probably see it when you fill up the gas pump. You probably see it when you're paying for your groceries. Again, I don't pretend to be a macroeconomics expert by any stretch of the imagination, but that's one of our biggest problems we're facing right now. Okay, there's all kinds of reasons why we have the inflation. We had loose monetary policy. We've had a lot of fiscal stimulus, you know, arguably over too much fiscal stimulus. Okay, and you know, the answer to that from the central bank of the United States has been like, hey, we're raising rates. All right, we want to fulfill our mandate to keep prices stable. All right, and pursue maximum employment. And prices have not been stable. So what's their answer to that? They want to destroy demand by raising the federal funds rate, which, you know, basically has had a huge impact on stock market and riskier assets, in particular growth-based assets, because those thrive off of cheap debt. Okay, and now debt's getting expensive, and so we're seeing repricing of almost all those assets that you know, essentially depend upon growth, and that's of course extending to the rest of the stock market. There's more to it than that, but that's the basic idea. So, anyways, as we see inflation numbers continue to come in hot and hotter than expected. These numbers were the market was broadly expecting about 8 0.8% for this particular reading in June. It came in higher than expectations at 9.1%, which is not good news because basically it's showing that what we're doing is not working yet. Okay, it's not working yet, and that we could even see sharper rate hikes in the future. So let's talk about that. So essentially, whenever we started this cycle of the Fed tightening, what do? They start raising interest rates. Well, what is that? It's the federal funds rate, it's the overnight rates. It's the rate that they set that basically banks can lend money to one another's, which highly influences other rates. Okay, highly influences. And so they started off saying, hey, we're just gonna raise it by a small amount. Then we're talking like 25 basis points, 50 basis points, 75 basis points, and even with the sharper rate of increase month over month, we're still not seeing inflation come down. We're still seeing inflation hot. So this does what it does to markets is essentially it says, okay, perhaps they're going to get even more aggressive, and so all the future expectations that the market has priced in, they're like, whoa, maybe we got to be more conservative than this. Maybe we got to take some more chips off the table. Maybe we got to anticipate a more aggressive Fed, and you start to see assets potentially fall even further. So what do I think this means for, crypto? And it's not just what I think it means for crypto. I mean, things for everything. Well, let's look at a couple possibilities here, right? Because of course nobody has a crystal ball to exactly predict the future. Let's start off with a range of scenarios. Does this look like a good thing in the short term? It does not look like a good thing in the short term, right? It's hard to think of news like this that would cause risk assets to just like rally. Now, of course, we don't exactly know, but if you think about things from the likelihood of possible scenarios, okay, the likelihood that means we're just going to rally based off of this information, is low in my opinion. All right, that likelihood is low. So then going from there, what does it mean? Does it mean that we're going to just go down only? Well, that would be on the worst end of things. And is it one of those things that could have a low effect, on crypto stocks and other things because of what we've seen so far? Well, that is also possible. And let's look at a couple reasons why. So, one thing you have to understand is that, inflation is highly impacted by the cost of gasoline or whatever you call it in your country, which is high, of course, one big proxy that we can, use to track that is basically crude oil price. Okay, so whenever you look at this, inflation is a huge, gas is a huge part of inflation because number one, it's essentially a line item in the index that we use to measure inflation. All right, basically they get to choose what's inside of there. And, fuel cost is one of those things, but it also shows up in other things, right? So, let's say that you buy something in the grocery store that isn't grown, down the street or in the backyard of the grocery store, which almost nobody has that, right? Then that food item has to get on a truck or an airplane or a boat, right? Or a drone, whatever it is, and then get delivered to where you're purchasing it, okay? And so there's a fuel cost associated with that. All right, and that fuel cost shows up in just about everything because we there's not super local economies, right? But even like everything. I mean, lawn people are raising their rates right now because they have fuel costs of taking their mowing equipment back and forth between different properties, and they got to put gasoline in their mowers. Like everything's going up. Like I'm seeing this across the board, and so one potential good sign here, okay, that could offset some of this is that there's a possibility that oil has peaked. Okay, oil is starting to see this kind of descending pattern here. Okay, and again, not a big technical analyst, right? I'm not trying to like call a top based on a pattern on a chart here because there's so many fundamentals that are going to make up this oil price. But if oil has topped and can get back down to reasonable levels, right? let's go back on a yearly timeline here. I'm not trying to call any levels off the top of my head. I'm not trying to say like this is the magic number, but if we can see, like if oil has indeed peaked, then we could see inflation peak. And so let's talk about that, because essentially we saw a 9.1% reading in June. Now, you have to understand all this stuff is a lagging indicator because, what is today, July 13th? Okay, so it takes time for us to get these statistics out so that we can actually report them. And during the month of June, you have to see that, like, this peak here, this peak happened in June. Okay, so from beginning of June all the way to basically the end of June, we had higher oil price than most of May. Okay, and so, because oil has such a huge impact on the price of inflation and other goods, right, it would stand to reason that inflation would just be higher, mostly just because of oil prices. Higher from like a trend increase from May because, well, guess what? We keep seeing these trends up and up and up throughout the year. Well, oil looks like a pretty good proxy for that trend. Okay. Now, of course, there's lots of other factors, right? But this clearly is a dominant factor, in my opinion, right? Again, not a macro expert, but I don't think it takes a genius to, propose that as a plausible idea. Okay. So, The 9.1% reading is lagging from, what happened in the previous month. There is a possibility that this becomes the worst inflation number that we see, okay? And that, we get a lower reading. I think the next one is in September, actually. You have to fact check me on that. Let me know in the comment section below. I think we don't get a reading. It's the Fed meeting. I can't remember. Again, not trying to claim like I know everything that's happening in this space. There's something that gets skipped in August. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if it's the. I think it might be the Fed meeting, but the Bureau of Labor, I believe, is the one that puts out the CPI reports. Let me just. Anyways, so we might get a reading in August. Maybe it's the. Rate hikes that may not happen in August. I can't remember. But anyways, so, looking at that, if oil comes down, this could be the worst inflation number that we see. There is a possibility that, rate hikes could continue to increase, right? We're already starting to see some markets start to price in 100 basis point rate hike, or the increase in the likelihood of 100 basis point rate hike. Okay. So that would be fast. That's basically a full percentage point in 1 month, which would be the most aggressive increase that I'm personally aware of. Okay, perhaps I don't know if it's just in recent history or if it's ever. I don't really know. Let me know in the comment section below if you know. So it says maybe a storm coming tonight. So, again, we are seeing crypto react to this. Okay, so let's just pull up Bitcoin here. So we saw this pretty sharp dip. This was literally just like, up to the minute of the report coming out, and then boom, we saw a blow up, right? It's starting to have some recovery. Let's actually pull up a more advanced chart here. Okay, so we're about to, we're looking at our weekly candles here. We're about to make a candle by probably that's about as low as we've been over the past couple of weeks. I mean, there's no reason to think that this would be the type of reading that would cause crypto to have a nasty leg down. I mean, it could, right? It could. We're talking about a range of scenarios of what's possible, like, from good to bad to worse. The last time we got an inflation reading that was worse than expected, we saw a massive leg down. But I don't know that we're necessarily going to see the same type of thing here. Okay, because we've already experienced a lot of pain. We've already seen a lot of capitulation across the crypto market, in my opinion. I know there's lots of people who are saying no, bro, we haven't even seen capitulation yet. Like we're not even close to a bottom. It's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. I personally think we're closer to a bottom than the top. We don't know where the bottom is. Of course, it's not financial advice. It's really hard to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. But it's very possible that even with this bad news, we don't see this sort of like aggressive sell-off, because we've already sold off a lot. Like there's a lot of people who are holding for the long term who are like, I'm not going anywhere. There's a lot of forced selling. Again, we've seen a lot of stuff in the crypto space where we've seen funds blow up. Basically, people can't pay back money, mass liquidations, and a lot of that stuff's like already happened. And then people are saying like, oh, there's contagion risk because you have these people who borrow money from those people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then they can't pay those people back, and then that causes the entire system to break, and then you keep seeing liquidations, and it's just this unwind that takes a really long time. I still think that can be true, but I still think that the worst of that could be potentially behind us. Again, capital P, potentially. I'm just trying to stack more cards in the deck of like, us being a lot closer to the absolute bottom than some people think. Now, could it go lower? It definitely could. I'm not telling anybody now's your perfect time to buy. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm trying to look at the fundamentals and say that like, hey, there's lots of good reasons to think why these levels could be the bottom. Now, that doesn't mean we don't bounce off these levels when we stay at them for a very long time. It very well could happen. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. That being said, though, we're already starting to see a recovery here. Major said he's been buying ETH since it hit 1,100. Dollar cost averaging, buy more if it goes lower. So this is I want to air on chair. Awesome. Yeah, it's one of the best purchases I ever made. That and a standing desk. I can take this thing up and down with a button. It's pretty awesome. It's good for back health. You want to stand up. Okay, so let's look at a couple other things here. Please look into Ethereum's OS. We talked about ETH OS on the stream. Okay, so let's look at a couple other things that have happened. So again, a quick personal update. I am not going to be live streaming tomorrow. It kind of stinks. I really wanted to do a special live stream for the Blockchain Bootcamp 2.0 launch, but I have a family emergency that I have to be offline for tomorrow morning, unfortunately. So maybe we'll try to do that on Friday. We'll have to see how tomorrow goes, and then we'll go back on. We'll get back on our schedule. But there's nothing changing about the bootcamp opening tomorrow. We're still going to do that. It's on schedule. You can sign up with the link down below to hold your spot for that. So a couple other things. Some new projects have hit the scene. Okay, so I want to do a quick roll up. Everybody's always like seeking alpha, looking for the new hot things in the crypto space. What are the tech trends? What are people actually doing on chain? What are some new things that you can look into? So let's talk about some of those. So yesterday we saw a pretty cool project with LensTube. Okay, so Lens is a Web 3.0 social media platform, okay, or protocol, I should say, where you can basically build your own social networks on top of Lens. I've done several videos on this. They've had developer grants where you can earn money for building new Lens projects. Okay, so one that came out that I saw a link to yesterday was LensTube. Okay, so this is a basically decentralized social media for video, a lot like YouTube. Okay, so basically, building something like YouTube on top of Lens. Of course, people worry about deplatforming, shadow banning, all that type of stuff. And Lens has a way to own your own content in a censorship-resistant way. people talk about open sourcing the algorithms and all that type of stuff. Well, it's completely transparent with this, and it's powered by smart contracts, and you can't take it down. So LensTube, cool project. Let's look at some other things that have popped up, new projects in this space. So another one that saw people making buzz about is this. Okay, so Farcaster. Okay, so let's take a look here. So talking about a sufficiently decentralized social network. Okay, so this one's actually been out for a little while, but I just started seeing the buzz make the rounds. Let's just see here. Started seeing this one make the rounds and want to put it on y'all's radar. So basically, it's another sufficiently decentralized social network. Okay, it's the ability to claim a unique username, post messages under that name, read messages from any valid name. Okay, so talking about scaling the network. Face tuck, I like that. So decentralized name registry. Novel social primitives. I'll put a link to this down in the live chat replay. So y'all can see that. Okay, so let's look at a couple more. So also Farcaster's hiring. People are wanting to look for new jobs in the 3.0 space. Everybody's always wondering who's hiring, what jobs can you apply for. And also, people are always looking for app ideas to build as a developer, okay? They're always trying to say, like, hey, I want to build a portfolio project, or I want something, I want to build a real project that other people are actually going to use. So we got a free app idea for you here, all right? And also a good way to practice, even if you don't want to try to compete out in the real world. So there needs to be a feature to order all of your incoming NFT offers based on offer size and or percent above the floor difference. And it also needs to show offers from all marketplaces like OpenSea, LooksRare, Gem, and Genie. So this is something that doesn't sound like it's too hard to build in the grand scheme of things, especially if you know the skills that we teach on this channel. How to create Solidity smart contracts, how to read them, okay? And then this is basically something you can just create a script for even, or a website user interface where all you got to do is talk to the smart contracts and then pull in this data. Okay, now I know that we'll have to see how that goes with OpenSea, because I know OpenSea has their API as well, so maybe a little bit of a bottleneck there. But in theory, this is something that is not that hard to build in the grand scheme of things. You just got to read the information, and you can still display it in a way where it's a read-only app where you just pull in the information and you see it, and then maybe you just have external links to the actual offers to where you can quickly navigate to them. It's the whole idea of providing something that gives utility, makes something faster, that makes somebody else's life easier, okay? Or you can aggregate this and then show that's software that provides real value to somebody else. And guess what? You just got one of the top NFT influencers asking for it. So if you built it and then sent it to them, like that'd be a no-brainer way to build something and have somebody else actually use it. So I need some flowers and smiley faces to brighten up the background. So Ethereum's OS is a different project from Ethereum OS. The names are similar, which is annoying, but you're definitely interested. So let's look it up. I don't see it. Oh, I see it here. Okay, so this is what we're talking about here. So again, I'm literally just pulling this up from a live chat mention here. I've done no due diligence in this project. I don't know anything about it. I'm literally just exploring this on screen. So as always, this is not an endorsement. Trying to think of what is it? Is it actually an operating system? Suppose markets seem unaffected. Yeah, it could be. Like I was saying before, well, we did see a quick sharp correction, okay? But like I was saying before, we could see a lot of forced selling that's already happened, right? And the contagion. But this doesn't look like this is news that's good for crypto by stretch of the imagination. You know, but I don't see this being a positive thing. All right, so we got a couple questions related to the boot camp in the chat here. So when does the boot camp start? We're gonna start the boot camp tomorrow. Does the boot camp expire anytime? It does not expire. Somebody asked about if they join the boot camp, how they get in the boot camp 2.0. Check your email. We will send a special email with instructions on that tomorrow. So Tyler said he was totally thinking about that idea. So 1 inch for NFTs. We kind of have something like that already, but this is more just like, yeah, kind of in theory, right? But it's more like just an app. You don't even have to have the swap capability built in. Now you could charge a fee, right? That's a way that you could actually monetize this. It'd be like, the creator just sees what the best offer is. Now, the problem is if they show you where the best offer is, right, since it's fungible and it's directly to them, they could just bypass your app and then go to that app and then fulfill the transaction there. So, I mean, maybe you don't tell them where the best offer is coming from, but then they'd have to trust that the best offers, that you're actually detecting the best offer. So, yeah, I don't know. You have to think about that. This is literally just something that, is off the cuff, me thinking about it in real time. BTC pumping Y. I think it's recovering from that initial decline. So say I just finished the blockchain bootcamp 1.0. Told newbie, would you advise bootcamp 2.0 at the latest version before I start applying for jobs? I think the answer is both. So start applying and definitely consume the new content in the bootcamp 2.0. Because that's the whole thing. So here's a question I get a lot, which is when should I start applying for jobs? Well, as soon as you have gone through and created your own portfolio project and you have it out there in the wild, that's when you should start applying, okay? It's not saying that that's exactly when you're just going to land your first job, like boom, you're just going to send out a resume and then you're going to magically get hired. But that's when you should start because you're going to get feedback. You're going to start networking, you're going to start talking to people, getting your name out there. Because job hunting in and of itself is experience, in necessary experience. Interviewing is somewhat of a skill, okay? And you start developing that skill, and you need to get that early on. And you can, while you're doing that, you can continue to learn and continue to build out more portfolio and get better, okay? Because somebody says, well, hey, maybe we're not, maybe you're not quite ready for this role, then you're already building yourself up to get to that next level. Now, there's such crazy demand for blockchain developers that, if you know enough and you're ready to hustle, okay, they're ready to train you. Like, there's lots of jobs out there. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people learn about blockchain. And, if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe take a master shortcut entirely, I show you a master blockchain step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Okay, so we have the Blockchain Bootcamp 2.0 launching tomorrow. Okay, this is less than 24 hours from the grand opening. So make sure you hold your spot with the link down below. And, last but not least, I want to do a special live stream for the bootcamp opening tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have a family emergency that I have to tend to, so no live stream tomorrow, but hopefully we can pick back up on Friday. We can do a stream for that. And yeah, that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.